Are you casting your ballot in the best interest of your business? Are you an entrepreneur that's losing an average of 7 hours of sleep per week worrying about the state of your business? You're smart, you're motivated, you want to do something big. You're on the verge of being a young boss, and we're going to help you get there. I'm your host, Isabelle, and welcome to the Young Boss Podcast, where youth is your power. Entrepreneur.com surveyed 500 small business owners, 39% of whom didn't have any faith that any helpful policies will be passed within the next year. And a minimum of 15% of business owners, Republican or Democrat, believe that the government cannot materially improve their business. I know I'm definitely not counting on the government to help my business in any way. I hate election years for business. Honestly, the entire year, all I hear from my business owner friends is how horrible business is, how scared the clients or customers are, and how they can't wait for Q1 of the following year. It always seems to be a year to survive and not necessarily thrive, at least in most businesses. I do feel the stress in my own business when we have clients who are coming in saying, well, what happens if? And genuinely acting like the election's going to change certain things. The reality is every business is very different, and some businesses thrive during election years while others take a big hit. This year is particularly interesting because our economy is in a funky spot. Food costs more than ever, supplies cost more than ever, and so you're having this strange juxtaposition of, is this because of the election or is this because of the economy? Some of the big concerns I hear from other business owners are that clients are standing scared. They're just not taking action. They're just not moving forward in the way that they usually would. And so convincing someone to purchase your product or hear you out or come to your event is harder than ever. But is this actually true? Or are the business owners placing blame for their lack of success on external forces, external variables? Election years are weird for a variety of reasons, and people get weird during them, business owners or not. You have your extremists, your end-of-the-world citizens and voters, and I believe people do hold off on spending. They genuinely have some misconception that whoever gets elected, things will change for the better or worse drastically. So they need to be prepared. So spending and investing or doing anything outside of normal is bad, and it's such a fallacy. I hate that people genuinely treat elections like it's going to change their day-to-day interactions, their day-to-day life. Unless you work in DC and you're literally about to be thrown out of office, most, and hear me clearly, most jobs and industries and businesses, they're going to remain pretty much exactly the same. Want me to prove it? Shut off your social media and TV next election year. Genuinely shut it off starting January 1st, and don't turn any of it on until January 1st of the next year, and see what changes in your life from the old to the new guard. I can guarantee almost nothing. Personally, I don't like to subscribe to any of the election news. I often will find myself watching less TV during this time of year. I'll find myself scrolling faster through anything political. I don't want to hear it. I really don't want to see it. It really doesn't help me live a more positive and successful life. And so even when conversations come up in day-to-day life, I kind of dismiss it and don't often want to talk about it very much because it's really not bringing anything positive to the table, at least in my life. And if my team members are starting to get really stressed or really worried and they bring up the election, I used to have a guy who worked for us who would always freak out during election years and have like a really difficult time dealing with all of the news and the noise out there. And I would often tell him, hey, try shutting off your TV. Try shutting off social media. Really, I guarantee you'll be in a better mental space. You'll be healthier, and I dare you to just take the challenge and do it. And he probably wouldn't, but at least I'm encouraging him to do what I think is best. But business owners say they're feeling it this year. They feel when customers are holding back and not spending or not investing or not taking that next step, and it hurts. So as a business owner, when you inevitably see an election year on the horizon, you need to brace for impact, because more than likely you, of all people, may take a hit because of the false illusion that everyone else is believing, that the sky is falling. And guess what? It sucks. When I'm talking to friends who are business owners, asking them how their year is going, it's pretty much across the board in the different industries I'm hearing. Beauty, real estate, investing, self-help, all of these different categories are feeling it. Not only are their clients not wanting to come in and not wanting to spend money, but their clients are also sitting scared. That's the word that I'm hearing over and over and over again. People are scared. The reality is that elections, they prey on your fear. We all make decisions based off pain or pleasure. And to me, election years are full of a lot of pain. They're full of a lot of negativity and pumping you with this idea that this person who's coming into office is going to save the day. They're going to save you and everything. Well, what do we need saving from? The year before I didn't need saving, so why do I need it now? It's all fear tactics. The fear mongering, it can get a hold of you. So make sure you just shut it off and shut it down. But when you are dealing with clients who are coming in and they're sharing their horror stories, you're going to have to listen to some extent. This may all be an illusion. Is it a placebo effect? Hey everyone, I want to share something that has truly changed my charging game. It's the 360 electrical. When I got this cord, oh my goodness, you guys, I'm always in need of a quick charge, whether I'm on the go in the car or at the airport. I want to be able to plug it in and 15 minutes later be on full battery, and that's exactly what this has done for me. It delivers 240 watts of ultra fast charging, so you're back to full battery in no time. It is perfect for those last-minute travel emergencies. It's got a super long cord and it doesn't fray. It keeps everything nice and tidy, super easy to travel with, take with you on the road. So if you want to grab yours today, head to 360electrical.com and use promo code YoungBoss for 20% off your order. Now, back to the show. Studies have actually shown that interest rates and the employment rate have a larger effect on small businesses than election years. Oddly enough, home sales are generally higher in an election year than non-election years in the past, and the economy has actually seen an uptick in spending in election years, as well as the year before and the year after. Median real spending is 1% higher in election years than non-election years. It's nominal, but worthy of noting. And in a study by the National Bureau of Economic Research, the economy experiences significantly more GDP growth during Democratic presidencies than Republican presidencies, as well as more jobs, lower unemployment rates, and higher corporate profits and investments, as well as stock market returns, which is interesting considering how little influence economists and experts actually assign to the President of the United States. All of that to say, the economy does weird, unexplainable things. And if you think you're going to figure it all out and that you're going to find the cheat code, you likely won't. It's best to just keep the ball rolling forward, moving the needle as best you can and staying focused on yourself and your own business. Paying attention to headlines and political commentary during these years is only making you more stressed and less focused on you and your business. Personally, I have not seen my business improve during the election years. So all of these statistics, they're not leaning in my favor of what I'm seeing in my reality, but every industry and every business is different. What I will say is this: talking on the phone and online with people, there seems to be a lot more fear. But when I get in person with my clients, there is joy, there's elation, there's happiness. The negativity that's being spread and the world is ending and all of the fear mongering isn't actually what's happening in my real life reality. It's all online. It's all this fake facade. So I love seeing my clients in person in an election year because it reminds me that we're not all crazy. And in my opinion, as I mentioned earlier, the biggest influencing factor in all of this can be the media, the content that you consume. Something that I pondered is, can the diversion in American spending be because American consumers are distracted by political attack ads, commentary everywhere, and political propaganda anywhere else they direct their attention? The available amount of ads for consumer goods significantly decreases as politicians buy premium ad space in hopes of swinging voters one way or another. But when's the last time you saw a commercial that actually changed your mind on who you're voting for? Come on. This means less airtime for consumer brands to advertise and sell their products. The Government Economic Policy Sentiments and Consumption Report concludes that sentiment during an election year does not have a significant impact on household spending, regardless of your party affiliation. And when you look at the numbers, election years actually have a limited effect on consumption. So what does this even mean? Is it only niche industries that feel it? People still need food and clothes and energy, and people will still eat out because now they're busier than ever. But where does this sentiment that I'm hearing from my friends in business, that I'm feeling from my own business, where does this come from? It causes me to wonder if these shifts make a bigger impact on small businesses than they do on larger corporations. And if many of these statistics and information that they're putting out there are based on large corporate businesses. So the small guys, they're the ones who are feeling it, but we're not gathering all of that data. All I know is that during these times, you need to focus on narrowing efforts to people who can see through the bullshit. Don't stop being genuine to yourself, your core values, and your branding, because when shit hits the fan, you'll see which businesses are just throwing discounts and dropping prices and begging for business, and which others are holding true and riding the wave. It's tough, but don't diminish everything you've worked for and everything you've built just because business is bad. Don't become something you're not. Once you've sold that t-shirt for $2, no one's going to want to buy it for $40 again. Make sense? Cut costs where you can, lean in on your team, and let them know that this may be a tough year. They're going to come to you for advice and with stress, and you need to be the clear-headed captain of the ship. It's not going to be easy, but with every election that comes, it also goes. To ensure that your brand stays authentic during tough times, I think it's important to go back and look at your goals. We know when an election year is coming, so you can plan accordingly. But also, if Q1 happens and, oh man, you are not hitting those goals, it is time for you to readjust. Go back, look at everything you have set out, and see what you can do to make this work for you. Because more than likely, the whole rest of the year is going to follow. The structure of your business model might have more of an impact on your success during election years than you might think. Is your business a buy now, pay later model? If so, it might be subject to the effects of an election year economy. However, if you're in the business of trading cash for services or products immediately, you might be in better shape. It's the bigger, longer-term purchases and investments that individuals are paying closer attention to, especially in this higher rate market, which is not historically high or unusual. It's just higher and more unusual than what we experienced during COVID, when interest rates were used to stimulate a suffering and shut down economy. What did we learn from that? People have the memory of a goldfish and expect everything to be favorable to them at all times. And when it's not, it's unfair. One thing that's important to consider and take note of is how dependent your business is on government-subsidized industries and government policies. Some businesses are more intrinsically connected to the government than others. And when we look at surveys about consumer sentiment towards spending during election years, it's super interesting. Republicans seem to put the most stock into the economy when it comes to elections, with 78% of surveyed Republicans believing that if their preferred candidate does not win, it will be bad for their personal economic situation. Meanwhile, 53% of independents don't think it matters who wins the election when it comes to the economy. And Democrats seem to fall somewhere in the middle, with 60% believing that if their candidate doesn't win, it will be bad for their personal economic situation. What's interesting is that sentiment has a direct correlation to political parties. When Democrats take over the White House, Democrats have a higher sentiment than Republicans towards the economy, and vice versa, regardless of whether the economy actually responds positively. And that brings us back to the placebo effect. People will largely believe what they want to believe, whatever makes them feel good, and it's not always about the numbers. Our economy is driven by emotion. People make choices based off emotions, not always facts or logical thinking. I highly suggest that you prepare for any upcoming election years by buckling down in the beginning of the year, adjusting your goals. Make sure that they're not super big, hairy, audacious goals that year. Have them be reasonable and manageable goals, anticipating that you may have some pushback from clients and customers, especially if you have a product that isn't a tangible good. If you're in the beauty industry, if you're in the fashion industry, if you are a high investment or mentorship or coaching industry, all of those things potentially could take a hit. And if you're in the opposite end of the spectrum, a business that people are going to want or need, then buckle up because it may be a great year for you. You know, the economy is driven as much by emotions as by numbers, and election years bring a unique mix of both. While pundits and media outlets amplify fear, the data tells us that consumer spending and business growth are often stable or even increased during these times. But perceptions shape behaviors, and as a business owner, you will likely feel the effects of customers holding back, unsure of the future. This is why it's essential to filter out the noise. Focus on the fundamentals, your core values, your brand identity, and your long-term goals. Prepare your team for a potentially tough year, but don't compromise everything you've built by reacting. And these are temporary circumstances. You should understand that. Whether through interest rates, shifting customer sentiment, or changes in advertising space, election years bring challenges, but they also present opportunities. By staying strategic and resilient, you can emerge from this cycle not only intact, but stronger. Thanks for listening to another episode of Young Boss with me, Isabelle Garino. Be sure to like, share, and follow on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe on Spotify and YouTube for weekly episodes. Remember, youth is your power.